Good morning, Democrats. Good morning. It is fabulous to be here with all of you today. I always think back to my first experiences, when I was running statewide, and John Burton always jokes that I'm the only person he knew who ran to be Secretary of State because she wanted the job. And I did. I ran for two reasons, Florida and Ohio. I wanted to make sure that in California we never had any concern about whether we were swearing in the person who actually got the most votes. And that's why I undertook a top-to-bottom review of voting systems and why we banned many of the touchscreen voting systems and severely restricted other electronic voting machines and put in place a whole host of other security precautions, as well as much better audits, so that even after an election we can check to make sure that we aren't missing something. And we do discover errors still. 2 years ago we discovered that certain voting machines would drop an entire deck of ballots under certain circumstances, and we found that out in Humboldt County, thanks to somebody who wrote another program to scan every ballot and look at them. So this job is not glamorous, but it's really important. It's very important. We have put up voter registration forms online now for the last 3 years, and we've had over 500,000 Californians use our fillable online form. And now we are about to take the next logical step. Very soon, by the middle of September, if a voter in California gives us permission to use the signature they have on file at the Department of Motor Vehicles, they will be able to complete their voter registration entirely online. No paper. No paper. If you don't have a signature at the DMV, you can still register online. You'll just have to print out the form, sign it, and mail it in. But we think probably about 80% of Californians, they can complete the process online. And that means, and I'm thinking here about Sandra Fluke's remarks about getting your friends registered, that means you can send them a link instead of a form. How much better is that? So I'm very excited. I think that we will have a large increase in voter registration, particularly among our young voters who we've been registering at a greatly increased number anyway in the past couple of election cycles. And once we get them registered, then we can get them excited and we can get them the facts. And the other thing that I do is to make sure through the voter information guide that voters have the facts. I don't want any California voters, for example, thinking that a woman's body can shut down a pregnancy under any circumstances. We actually believe in science in California, and we believe in sex education. And we've certainly seen demonstrated the need for that because some people clearly didn't get it at home. I don't know what that congressman's parents were teaching him, but it must have been pretty interesting if you stop to think about it. So we have a very important election coming up, lots of critical issues on the ballot, and the deadline to register to vote is 15 days before the election. But this time, if you fill out the form online by midnight on that day, even if you have to mail the form in later, you will be registered in the state of California. So we just keep pushing and pushing. And this has really been a hard year for me because I have had to watch some of my colleagues, secretaries of state in other states, go in exactly the wrong direction. I have to listen to those guys defend things like photo ID and talk about rampant voter fraud by people going into a polling place and pretending to be somebody else, which is a felony. And besides that, the average age of poll workers is 77, and those ladies who work in the polling office, they know a lot of the people who live in their neighborhood. So if you try that in California, you're probably not going to get away with it anyway. But we are going in the right direction in California, making registration easier, making it easier to get your ballot. You can sign up to get your ballot in the mail at every election without having to fill out a form. And if you decide to vote in person, no problem. Take the ballot into your polling place. And if you lose the ballot, that's no problem either. Just go in, you'll vote a provisional ballot. As long as we didn't get your other ballot, you can vote. We'll count your provisional ballot. We don't count any ballot, any voter's ballots more than once, no matter how many times you try to vote. So we take that seriously too. I know I grew up outside Chicago where they always teased that the motto was vote early and often. I subscribe to the vote early part, but I don't want to see anybody voting more than once. And we have a zero tolerance policy for fraud in California, and we routinely refer people who have fraudulently changed people's voter registration, say from one party to another. That happens all the time, particularly when people are being paid per signature. So if you see something like that or you're concerned, please let us know, because I can't take action unless I hear that there's a problem and where it is. 800-345-VOTE, that's the hotline, and we will be there to answer any questions, to tell you where your polling place is, and to help with anything you need. I want to make this the election in California where we have the highest voter registration in the history of the state and the greatest turnout. You can help, because you are going to be sending everybody you have ever met the link to register to vote online. All right, so thank you very much. Let's get going. We're very close to Election Day. I'll do my part, you do yours, and we will celebrate after the election. Thank you. Thank you, Democrats.